In this video, we're going to look at how to solve quadratic equations by the method completing the square. And the particular quadratic equation we're going to look at is x squared plus 6x is equal to -8. Now, anytime you want to use completing the square, the first thing you want to check to be sure is that the constant term or the number or any of the numbers are all combined and they're on the other side of the equal sign from your quadratic term and your linear term. In other words, the x squared and the term with just an x. So in this case, we already have the -8 on the right-hand side of the equal sign, separated from the other two. So the first little preliminary step is done. The second step is to identify what your linear term is. And by linear term, I just mean the term that involves the x. Here we have 6x. That's going to be our linear term. And you're going to look at that because that's going to tell you what you're going to add or subtract to each side when you actually complete the square. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at that 6. And when you do pick out whatever the linear coefficient is, you want to take whatever that is, in our case 6, you want to divide it by 2. In that case, it's going to give us 3. And then you want to square whatever that 6 divided by 2 is. So if we're going to do 3 squared, that's going to give us 9. And so 9 is the number that we need to add to both sides of the equation so that we are able to complete the square. So let's rewrite everything. We're going to put x squared plus 6x. And we're going to go ahead and add 9 to the left-hand side of the equation. But we also want to add 9 to the right-hand side of the equation so that everything remains balanced. So whatever you do to one side, you have to do it to the other side. And again, that 9 came from looking at the 6, dividing by 2, and then squaring that division. So now we have x squared plus 6x plus 9 on the left-hand side, and we have -8 plus 9 on the right-hand side. So what we can do is we can factor the left-hand side now. So if you do complete the square properly and add that to both sides, it's always going to factor once you get it to this stage. So x squared plus 6x plus 9 will factor into x plus 3, x plus 3. And -8 plus 9 is going to give us +1. And so on the left-hand side, we can rewrite this as x plus 3 squared, because we have the same factor happening twice, is equal to 1. And now we have something that we can solve using the square root method. We can take the square root of both sides, because ideally when we're solving this we want to get x by itself. So the square root of x plus 3 squared is going to leave us with x plus 3. And then the square root of 1 is going to give us a plus or a minus 1, because remember when we're using the square root method we have to take into account both possibilities. So now let's go over here and let's solve each of these two possibilities. So either x plus 3 is equal to +1, or x plus 3 is equal to -1. And we're going to solve each of these. So if x plus 3 is equal to +1, we'll subtract 3 from both sides. And 1 minus 3 is going to give us -2. So that means our solution from the first option is going to be x is equal to -2. And then of course we do the same thing for the second equation. X plus 3 is equal to -1, subtract the 3 from both sides. And -1 minus 3 more is going to give us -4. So x is equal to -4. And so our two solutions for this quadratic equation are x equals -2 and x equals -4.